Over a year ago, I did a video in which we went over 4 players that were in desperate need of fresh starts. Since then, all of the players featured have been traded and or retired thereafter. Therefore, I decided to revisit the subject in order to go over a handful of players that are in desperate need of a fresh start. And with that, here are 5 NHL players that need a change of scenery. Now, I'd definitely be lying here if I said that Jake DeBrusk's desire to vacate Beantown was a secret, as DeBrusk's trade request became public knowledge early last season in late November. DeBrusk, up to that point, had struggled mightily offensively to produce, and was frequently mentioned in trade rumors beforehand. Therefore, after only recording 14 points in 41 games played in the 2020-21 season, many weren't shocked to see that DeBrusk had made the decision to depart from Boston. But, as we've witnessed previously with players such as Vladimir Tarasenko, sometimes getting the request out in the open and having something to play for is the perfect recipe for success. After moving up in the lineup and playing alongside Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand, DeBrusk finished the season on a high note. With 12 points in 15 games played throughout the month of April and 4 points recorded in the first playoff round, DeBrusk has put himself in a good position to be moved. Also knowing that the Bruins have extended him in the form of a 2-year, $8 million deal, DeBrusk could very well be on his way this offseason. Even though it may have seemed from the outside looking in that it was a ploy to keep DeBrusk in Boston, according to a very insightful article from The Athletic that I'll link below, the contract was a ploy to help put prospective teams at ease. Since DeBrusk won't be receiving a qualifying offer, his contract will be much more attractive on the market. As for the trade request, also according to the same source mentioned, DeBrusk's agent commented in late March, disappointed, while saying, "I was hoping Jake would have a change of scenery. However, that didn't happen at the deadline as expected," he told The Athletic. Therefore, we can only assume that both parties will be anticipating a trade this offseason. Selected 6th overall in 2018 by the Detroit Red Wings, Filip Zadina had a lot of hype surrounding him coming in. The forward, who was dynamic at both ends of the ice, possessed an insanely accurate release that made him an offensive threat while in the QMJHL. After notching 82 points in 57 games played, Zadina was expected to be an eventual fit within Detroit's top 6. However, after splitting time playing for the Grand Rapids Griffins and the Detroit Red Wings for his first 2 seasons, Zadina wasn't able to meet expectations that GM Steve Yzerman likely had for him. Last season, Zadina, who almost played a full NHL season for the first time in his career, finished with only 24 points in 74 games played. Knowing that his entry-level contract is set to expire this offseason, it's highly possible that Steve Yzerman could choose to move on from the Zadina experiment. Even though he is going to be a restricted free agent facing arbitration, Yzerman could choose to sign Zadina to a contract with the intent of trading him further down the road. Since the Wings roster is already bursting with young talent, it's possible that Yzerman could try and package Zadina and a first-round pick together in hopes of landing an established return piece, meaning a player that's already in his prime. The subject of trade rumors for quite some time now, Alex Georgiev has become increasingly expendable. Back when Henrik Lundqvist was still suiting up for the Blue Shirts, it seemed like Georgiev played some of his best hockey earlier in his NHL career. For instance, his first 2 seasons spent partially developing with the Hartford Wolfpack, Georgiev recorded a .910 or higher save percentage at the NHL level. However, after Georgiev was no longer the new kid in net per se, his confidence seemed to waver as Igor Shesterkin solidified his place as a Rangers starting goalie. As Shesterkin received a 4-year extension last offseason, GM Chris Drury's intentions seemed clearer than ever to eventually try and move on from Georgiev sooner rather than later. Coming into the 2021-22 season, Georgiev didn't seem like himself statistically and recorded some of the worst numbers in his entire career. After recording a below .900 save percentage and a 2.92 goals against average, it's definitely fair to assume that the netminder is in need of a change of scenery. When Kasperi Kapanen was brought back to Pittsburgh via trade in 2020, many believed the forward would be a natural fit within the Penguins' top six. However, after an initial season with success, with 30 points recorded in 40 games played, Kapanen returned from the offseason as a different player. Last campaign comparatively, Kapanen produced just 2 more points than he did in his first season in the Burgh. Yes, 32 points, but this time, however, it was after suiting up for nearly twice as many contests. Therefore, with 79 games played and only 32 points to show for it, Kapanen finished the season with close to half of his shooting percentage that he had previously, with an 8.5. His lowered average ice time also reflected his on-ice performance. Kapanen also found himself a healthy scratch for Pittsburgh's meeting against Vegas last March as well. Knowing that GM Ron Hextall is going to be desperate for cap space this summer, it's possible that Hextall could attempt to move on from Pittsburgh's former first-round pick. At 25 years of age, if Kapanen was given the chance to acclimate elsewhere, it could prove to be beneficial for both parties involved. Drafted 3rd overall, not far behind Nathan MacKinnon in 2013, Jonathan Drouin, who was selected by the Tampa Bay Lightning, was viewed as an extremely creative forward who could be lethal in the power play. Even though he's not the largest player out there, Drouin has always been very agile and shifty, and during his best moments has proven to be dominant offensively. However, after a lengthy stint with the Lightning, Tampa Bay decided to move on from Drouin in 2017. Reason being, he had initially submitted a trade request that likely stemmed from the fact that he was never given the opportunity to show his full potential. Therefore, after recording 53 points in 73 games played in his final season with Tampa, Drouin was traded to his hometown team in Montreal for Mikhail Sergachev. After receiving a lengthy 6-year, $33 million contract, it seemed like for Drouin that he would be a household name for Habs fans for years to come. After struggling with injuries and to remain on the score sheet for quite some time, Drouin was eventually demoted to the 4th line before the end of the 2020-21 season, and it wasn't long after that Drouin took a leave of absence away from the team while Montreal took their deep playoff run to the Stanley Cup Finals. Many have speculated that for Drouin, playing for his hometown team, dealing with all the expectations, and the Montreal media, this may have created a recipe for discontentment.